Hey there, folks. How's it going today? Welcome to their Stu's Game Reviews live stream. Hope everyone is doing well. It's now 8:46 p.m. on August 27th here on the East Coast. And I am joined once again by voice actor, professional or amateur, I'm not sure, but voice actor Dorian Cairn, who's
amateur. We have established this.
We have established this already. To continue the game, The 39 Steps, which I think we might be able to finish in this sitting, hopefully. Before we get started, I did want to mention quickly that somebody told me I should name out the people who actually contribute to my Patreon before we do the stream, so I'm going to do that now. I did it last time too, and Dorian is actually one of them, so thank you to Dorian for being a Patreon supporter. And also thank you to Starman, Adventure Game Geek, Ryan J. Navarro, Cote, Valley, Richard Hawkins, and Tyler Drinkard. So it's a small group of people right now, but they're really good people, so I appreciate it very much. And if anybody else wants to support the channel, you can check out the Patreon. You can find it, I'm sure, but it's patreon.com, I think, /Stu's Game Reviews. So thank you to all the Patreon supporters, and with that, we will get started and move on to the game proper. So if you're watching this after the fact, make sure to leave comments letting me know what you think of the game and what you think of Dorian, if we should bring him back to voice another game after this. I think the answer probably is.
I promise next time my mic will be better. Just,
yeah, I'm not sure we can believe you, but I'm just kidding.
No, I will. I promise.
I'm just kidding around. But actually,
let us know how I sound, folks, because I can. My neck literally broke just before this.
There we go. Alright, so, and feel free if you're here, I obviously want to hear from you, but if you're watching this after the fact, let us know after the fact, and, like and subscribe, all that good stuff. So, 39 Steps, it says here, digital adaptation of John, I don't know if I pronounce his name, Buchan, Boucher, I don't know, whatever that guy's name is, espionage thriller that was written in 1915. It was adapted into a movie by Alfred Hitchcock, but that movie is very different from the actual book. This game is a very close adaptation to the book with really nice graphics, really nice sound. Not that much interactivity, but there is some stuff that you have to do and some choices, but the choices mostly are leading you down the primrose path, essentially. But it's been cool, I will say. What do you think, Dorian? What's your experience so far?
I am so sorry. Could you repeat that? I literally just got interrupted at that moment. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. I was just asking you what you thought of the game so far.
No, I like it. I think I am genuinely surprised that the game based on a novel this old has such a genuinely intriguing plot. It's I mean, I love old books, but some of them are a bit slow. But this one is actually great fun. It's feels like a modern thriller.
Yeah, I think so too. And just to summarize very quickly where we are, this guy, his name is Hannay. Was it Robert Hannay or something? I forget what's his first.
Richard Hannay.
Richard Hannay. He's some really interesting guy who traveled all around the world and was in the army and he was in British intelligence, and he was staying in London, and some guy asked to stay in his house because people are after him to kill him, and then sure enough he does get killed, and it turns out, long story short, first of all, Hannay has to flee London into Scotland to try to get away from the cops. They think that he did it, and he's been chased both by the police and also the spies, the people who actually killed the guy, because he has information about a plot that's going to apparently start World War I, because it took place, it takes place at the beginning of the 1910s, I guess. And so we don't really know too much about the plot, except it involves Germany and God knows what. But that's basically what's going on. He's being chased, and he's trying to get away and get to the right people with this information. So let's continue the game, and we'll go from there. Alright, so I think we were here, but if I just continue story, we'll go to this desperate measures. Oh, so the last thing that happened is that he was caught by this guy with the hooded eyes. He thought he was seeking sanctuary in someone's house, and that was, you can see his eyes in the background here. And that was actually the bad guy, apparently. And now he's like locked up, and he's trying to see if he can get out. So let's play. It says there's 0 people watching right now, by the way, but I don't think that's true. It lies to me. So if you're here in the chat, if you're here, say hi. Let's, don't let us, like, talk to nobody here. Well, obviously there's the recording, too.
The whole place smelt of mold and disuse. The old boy had gone off in a motor to collect the 2 ruffians who'd interviewed me yesterday. Now they had seen me as the roadman, and they would remember me, for I was in the same rig. What was a roadman doing 20 miles from his beat, pursued by the police?
Good question. Because he was, so just in case you missed the last stream, he was trying to pretend that they caught the wrong guy, and he was just some common criminal named Ainsley or something. So yes. He went off to find the other bad guys to confirm his identity, basically.
A question or two would put them on the track. Probably they had seen Mr. Turnbull, probably Marmee too. Most likely they could link me up with Sir Harry, and then the whole thing would be crystal clear. The more I thought of it, the angrier I grew, and I had to get up and move about the room.
So I gotta look around the room now.
It is kind of a slightly convoluted coincidence. We wandered right into the main villain's house.
Yeah, it is a bad coincidence.
Yeah, I couldn't open the boxes. I found a handle in the wall which seemed worth investigating.
Okay.
Yeah, someone's a bit frustrated.
What did I get?
I don't know. You describe it.
Show me what I can, it's like lighting up what I can touch, which makes it a little easier. So I got a bunch of stuff. I don't know what I got. Oh, God.
Some spools? Oh, boy. I have to remind him how hands work.
I don't see it on the screen. Oh, there, it's off the screen. I was off screen somehow. Okay. This is for you, Dorian.
Oh, thanks. Oh, thank you. That's very sweet of you, Stu.
I guess he's opening up the carton here. That wasn't good enough.
Yeah. Oh. I guess it doesn't have a head.
I'm being too literal. This is probably the most fun part of the game, is these stupid drawing things. It's so stupid.
It is the most interactive part.
It's like cathartic. What do you find? Bugs? What is that? It's like bugs.
Oh, it looks like he's just holding dirt. It was Leninite, a powerful explosive I knew from my time as a mining engineer.
See, this guy is really like, that was sort of my point when I was telling the story before. He's really, like, he's almost like he should be a spy. He has so many skills, you know?
He's I feel like he's like the prototypical colonial era hero.
He's like a Mary Sue.
Yeah. Well, protagonists were a bit less complicated back then. But I had forgotten the proper charge and the right way of preparing it, and I wasn't sure about the timing. I had only a vague notion, too, as to its power, for I had used it... for though I had used it, I had not handled it with my own fingers. Well, you just did. But it was a chance, the only possible chance. The remembrance of little Scudder decided me. Explosive.
Really option.
Kind of dumb for this genius mastermind to leave explosives in where he locked him in. Oh my!
Yeah, that was close. This is such a weird mechanic.
Yeah, I guess they felt like they needed to have some interaction for it to technically be a game.
place.
Like,
Oh my goodness. This is the most we've seen of this so far. They say they got explosives.
It was about the beastliest moment of my life, for I'm no good at these cold-blooded resolutions. Still, I managed to rake up the pluck to set my teeth and choke back the horrid doubts that flooded in me. I simply shut off my mind and pretended I was doing an experiment as simple as Guy Fawkes fireworks. And Guy Fawkes fireworks blew things up.
I thought, didn't they catch him and they failed his plot?
Yes, they hanged him.
Yeah, so he didn't really blow nothing up there.
Yeah.
Oh shit, we should do this while it's blowing here. Oh, okay, maybe it's a time limit, I wonder.
Oh my god, tension.
Demolition Man.
My stupor can scarcely have lasted a few seconds.
That was good coughing there, that was in character.
Yeah, that was that was real coughing, but well timed, I guess. I stepped over the broken lintel and found myself standing in a yard in a dense and acrid fog. I felt very sick and ill, but I could move my limbs, and I staggered blindly forward away from the house.
I think I missed something because I went straight for the explosives. Probably something else in the room I was to look at. Oh well.
Yeah, I guess all those things were just components for rigging explosives. A small mill lathe ran in a wooden aqueduct at the other side of the yard. I fell into this. Oh, clumsy. The cool water revived me, and I had just enough wits to think of escape. I squirmed up the lathe among the slippery green slime till I reached the mill wheel. Then I wriggled through the axle hole and into the old mill and tumbled onto a bed of chaff. A nail caught the seat of my trousers, and I left a wisp of heather mixture behind me. Nausea shook me, and a wheel in my head kept turning, while my left shoulder and arms scorned to be stricken with the palsy. Palsy.
I guess
Seemed.
the chemicals were making him sick.
I crawled down. I crawled down the broken ladder, scattering chaff behind me to cover my footsteps. It's leaving a trail of chaff where you are. I did the same on the mill floor and on the threshold where the door hung on broken hinges. I slipped across the space, got to the back of the dovecot, and prospected a way of ascent, excuse me. By the use of out-jutting stones, gaps in the masonry, and the tough ivy root, I got to the top. I found space to lie down. Then I proceeded to go off into an old-fashioned swoon. Weird place to sleep. But...
That was the whole event. With the next one already.
Oh well. Oh well.
Damaged and intoxicated, Henry escapes the clutches of the Black Stone, but they know he is nearby. Still not even closed to June 14th. Blackstone HQ.
That's
so
small head.
they found their HQ.
Yeah, no, it is a bit convoluted. I mean, a bit contrived. Sorry, that's the word, contrived. But I woke up with a burning head and the sun glaring in my face. For a long time I lay motionless, for those horrible fumes seemed to have loosened my joints and dulled my brain. There was a little gap in the parapet to which I wriggled, and from which I had some sort of prospect into the yard. I saw figures come out, a servant with his head bound down, and then a younger man in his knickerbockers. I saw the rotund figure of my late captor, and I thought I made out the man with the lisp.
This is late captor. I don't think it means he's dead. I think it's like he means his recent captor.
Yes, his captor is not dead. I noticed that all had pistols. They were looking for something and moved towards the mill. For half an hour, they ransacked the mill.
Oh, nobody. This is like probably the longest stretch of time it's gone in one of these live streams for a long time where no one has said anything in the chat, which is like really unusual. We are streaming though.
Maybe it's a different time. Maybe it's because of the different
earlier
time.
than people are used to. But a lot of times when I do it earlier, I get more people, so it's just I know it's unpredictable.
It's a pity. Then they came outside and stood just below the dovecot, arguing fiercely.
There are a couple of people lurking, but just nobody's talking.
I heard them fiddling with the door of the dovecot, and for one horrid moment I fancied them coming up. Then they thought better of it and went back to the house.
They have no idea where he's right there. Yeah. Luckily for him.
Yeah.
They can't stay there too long.
All that long blistering afternoon, I lay baking on the rooftop. Thirst was my chief torment. My tongue was like a stick. I watched the course of the little stream as it came in from the moor. I would have given £1,000 to plunge my face into that. I saw the car speed away with 2 occupants and a man on a hill pony riding east. I wished them joy of their quest. If that aeroplane came back, the chances were 10 to 1 that I would be discovered. So through the afternoon, I lay and prayed for the coming of darkness.
I guess when it's dark, you can run. They can run for it.
Yeah. It seemed to me that the sooner I got in touch with the Foreign Office man, Sir Walter Bullivant, the better. He must just take or leave my story, and anyway, with him I would be in better hands than those devilish Germans. I had begun to feel quite kindly toward the British police. My plan was to seek Mr. Turnbull's cottage, recover my garments, and especially Scudder's notebook, then make for the main line and get back to the south.
Mr. Turnbull. Is that the guy the house he just broke out of? No.
No, I feel like. Oh no, I think he's the roadman you gave your clothes to.
Yeah, right.
My shoulder was in a bad way. At first I thought it was only a bruise, but it seemed to be swelling, and I had no use of my left arm. I had a crushing headache and felt as sick as a cat. Those Lennonite fumes had fairly poisoned me, and the baking hours on the dovecot hadn't helped matters. I had neither coat, waistcoat, collar, nor hat. My trousers were badly torn, and my face and hands were black with the explosion. I dare say I had other beauties, for my eyes felt as if they were furiously bloodshot. Oh no, he don't look good.
He's almost dead, sounds like.
Yeah. Thank God it was a black night. My thirst was too great to allow me to tarry, so about 9 o'clock, as far as I could judge, I started to descend. Halfway down, I heard the back door of the house open and saw a gleam of a lantern against the mill wall.
Uh-oh.
Oh dear. For some agonizing minutes, I hung by the ivy and prayed that whoever it was would not come round by the dovecot. Then the light disappeared, and I dropped as softly as I could onto the hard soil of the yard. I crawled on my belly in the lee of a stone dyke, no jokes, till I reached the fringe of trees which surrounded the house.
I was thinking about it, you know, but I couldn't think of anything funny to say.
I was in a pretty bad way.
Sorry.
Okay. It's just a wall. It's just a wall. 10 minutes later, my face was in the spring, and I was soaking down pints of the blessed water.
Yay.
But I did not stop till I had put a half-dozen miles between me and that accursed dwelling. Great, you discovered the headquarters, so there's not really any tension left. Well, I mean, there is tension, but still.
Well, they still
like they blew their load. Yeah, I feel like they blew their load on that too early. Like that should have been the climax. I sat down and took stock of my position. Sir Harry's map had given me the lie of the land. All I had to do was steer a point or two west of southwest to come to the stream where I had met the roadman. I calculated I must be about 18 miles distant, and that meant I could not get there before morning.
Too bad. Must be hungry.
Yeah, seriously. Might have to kill a sheep.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Very soon after daybreak, I made an attempt to clean myself in a hill burn, and then approached a herd's cottage, for I was feeling the need of food. Oh, you called it.
I mean, you eat all day. Doesn't sound too good either.
What in the name of... What's happened to you?
Forgive me. I've taken a pretty bad fall.
Come in. Come in.
Good thing everyone's so hospitable here.
Yeah, they are. Like, probably, listen, in 1915, they probably weren't like lunatics who like break into people's houses and kill them. You know?
I feel like they were just maybe less frequent, I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah. Like a true Samaritan, she asked no questions, but gave me a bowl of milk with a dash of whiskey in it. Sounds awful. And let me sit down for a little by her kitchen fire. She would have bathed my shoulder, but it ached so badly that I would not let her touch it.
Oh, sorry, hang on 1 second. My wife's trying to call me. Let me just answer the call.
Okay. All right. This is a good game. Like the plot's a little contrived at times, but it's very entertaining. It has a real thrill vibe to it. Kind of reminds me of that second Sherlock Holmes movie with Robert Downey Jr., but with a slightly more complicated plot.
I tried to call her, but I couldn't get through her. I was like making, hey, I was asleep. Says howdy, fellas. I was making faces on the video as if like I was yelling on the phone or something, but anyway, I couldn't call her back. She answered the phone. Anyway.
She was a decent old body and a plucky one. Although she got a fright when she saw me, she had an axe handy and would have used it on any evildoer. I don't know what she took me for. A repentant burglar, perhaps.
So wait, she said she has a decent body? Is that what this old lady?
She was a decent body.
Oh, she used to have a decent body. Not anymore.
Oh, right. Well, you know, good to know he hasn't lost his ability to size women up.
The guy's like half dead and he's like starving to death and that's what he's thinking about? Like, seriously.
I think that's like an old Victorian expression for like someone's personality, but I don't know.
I'm just kidding.
No, I know. She showed me how to wrap the plaid around my shoulders, and when I left that cottage, I was the living image of the kind of Scotsman you see in the illustrations to Burns' poems.
Guess he just got a quick meal and left. He didn't really even stay that long.
Please, take this as payment for your hospitality.
No. Keep your siller. No. Give it to them that he erected it. Oh, recht then, if you insist. Take my plaid and, this old hat that belonged to my man.
Yeah, they showed the lady's face in the background there. Oh no, it's raining now too. I could get a break.
Oh boy. Oh, that's gonna suck. I passed over the miseries of that night among the wet hills. Twice I lost my way and had some nasty falls into peat bogs. Oh no.
I'm amazed that they didn't catch him by now. Like, I guess it's a big country, but
yeah, like seriously, like I think they'd be like calling in everyone.
I guess the airplane
didn't-
probably can't fly in the rain though either.
Mm-hmm.
They had no visibility.
I had only about 10 miles to go as the crow flies, but my mistakes made it nearer 20. So now it's mud and wet.
Just call me again. Hang on 1 second. You can read that.
all
I'll be
right.
right back.
The last bit was completed with set teeth and a very light and dizzy head.
She wanted to know if I wanted her to get me chocolate. That's nice.
Oh, that's nice. Chocolate
Yeah,
is
but I
nice.
said no.
But I managed it, and in the early dawn I was knocking at Mr. Turnbull's door.
Always says, I can read lips. He's getting a divorce.
Oh.
Did you see what I was yelling before, pretending to yell before I was asleep? Or did I prefer you during the call?
What were you pretending to yell?
I was just I don't know. What the fuck you want? Or something like that.
You're interrupting my
Where
stream,
are you
woman.
that comes stravaiging here in the Sabbath morning?
My head was swimming so wildly that I could not frame a coherent answer, but he recognized me.
Ah. Aye, have you got my specs?
I fetched them out of my trouser pocket. Good thing we hung on to them.
You'll have come for your jacket and waistcoat. Come on by. Losh, man, you're terrible down to the legs. Hold up till I get you to a chair.
He's like he's dying. Seriously, like he walked 20 miles. I mean, like I don't blame him.
Yeah. And poison. Oh, this illustration is lovely.
It is very nice.
I had a good deal of fever in my bones, and the wet night had brought it out, while my shoulder and the effects of fumes combined to make me feel pretty bad.
I don't think get rid of those fumes.
Yeah, no, seriously, I feel like we're going to have lung cancer by the end of this at least. I perceived I was in for a bout of malaria. Malaria?
Oh my God.
They had that in Scotland. No, they had that there. Before I knew, Mr. Turnbull was helping me off with my clothes and putting me to bed in one of the two cupboards that lined the kitchen walls.
This is an interesting turn. I'm just kidding. I like the music.
No fiddle. He was a true friend in need, that old roadman.
New event. An encounter in bed with a roadman. I know it's dry fly fisherman. Oh, it's about his fly, I guess.
What was being fished? No one was There weren't any fishermen.
Yeah, I guess he's gonna get to the fisherman. Maybe the fisherman's in this chapter. I don't know.
Oh, right. Oh, okay.
I'm assuming. I don't know.
Scotland. Cottage.
Oh, it's 11 June already now. He's been there for like 10 days.
Yeah, we were there for like, yeah.
They had malaria, so I guess it makes sense.
But still, I feel like we should have tried to get to a hospital.
I don't think the ambulance is coming over here.
Yeah, probably not. When my skin was cool again, I found that the bout had more or less cured my shoulder.
The guy definitely friend in need, took care of him.
Yeah, no, that's very cool of them. Everyone here is very nice, except for the bad guys.
Yeah.
But it was a baddish go, and I thought I was out of bed. And though I was out of bed in 5 days, it took me some time to get my legs again. Turnbull went out each morning, leaving me milk for the day, and locking the door behind him, and came in the evening to sit silent in the chimney corner.
That was a really cool lighting effect just now.
Yeah, no, it was. Not a soul came near the place, and he never bothered me with a question. He never even sought my name. Well, it's just very trusting.
Well, I mean, nothing he's going to do, really. It's the newspaper, I bet. Yep. Oh, the Scotsman. Oh, it's the Scotsman. What do we have here on the Scotsman today?
Oh, hi. Scotsman.
That seems like bullshit. I'm sorry, let me go back
Yeah,
to
they seem
the other things at the top
a
here.
little randomized, what they highlight.
Yeah, it's just random. No further trace of an airman. Buckingham Palace birthday letters.
Huh.
Okay. I don't see anything of any interest except for an ad for a car. Was there anything on the first page?
It didn't seem to highlight anything.
Yeah. Alright. I don't think there's anything here.
That seems to be ads.
Let me go here. What?
Ooh. One day he produced my belt from a lock-fast drawer.
Here's your belt. There's a terrible heap of silver in it. You better count it to see it's there.
Thank you, but I'm sure there's no need. By the way, could you tell me, has anyone been inquiring after me?
Aye, there was a man in a motor car. He speered what I'd ta'en my place that day, and I let on I thought him daft. But he keep it on at me, and saying I said he mun be thinking of my good brother for the clich that whiles lean me a horn. He was a worse looking soul, and I couldn't understand the half of his English tongue.
We can't understand you either, don't worry.
Yes. No, you have a very, very thick accent, sir. I was getting restless these last days, and as soon as I felt myself, I decided to be off. As luck would have it, a drover went past that morning, taking some cattle to Moffat. He was a man named Hislop, a friend of Turnbull's, and he came in to his breakfast with us and offered to take me with him. I made Turnbull accept £5 for my lodging, and had a hard job I had of it. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Got to read that. There was never a more independent being. When I told Turnbull about how much I owed him, he grunted something about one good turn deserving another. You would have thought from our leave-taking that we had parted in disgust.
I like this zooming in.
Yeah.
Awarded full recovery. I got like an achievement. So I could have done not to get a full recovery. I don't know. Well, that's cool.
Wow, the art in this is lovely. Driving cattle is a mortally slow job, and we took the better part of the day to cover 12 miles.
He's a cherry soul.
Journey. I had no mind for the summer and little for Hislop's conversation, as well as the fateful 15th of June. And as the fateful 15th of June drew near, I was overweighted with the hopeless difficulties of my enterprise. If I had not had such an anxious heart, I would have enjoyed that time. Sorry, forgetting how to read. Hislop was a cheeky, cheery soul who chatted all the way over the pass and down into the sunny vale of Annan. I talked of Galloway markets and sheep prices, and Hislop made up his mind I was a pack shepherd from those parts, whatever that may be. At Moffat, I got some dinner in a humble public house, then walked the 2 miles to the junction on the main line. The night express for the south was not due till near midnight, however. So to fill up the time, I went up on the hillside and fell asleep, for the walk had tired me.
And miss the train if you do that.
Yeah. You'd think these guys would be scouring the countryside by now.
Well, he disappeared for a long time. They may think he's dead or something.
Yeah. I all but slept too long and had to run to the station and catch the train with 2 minutes to spare.
Should have called it.
Yeah.
Or James Bond, or sorry, Indiana Jones travel. I guess he's going all back to London almost. Oh, he's going to somewhere else. Bristol, Bath.
It's like, I don't know.
He's going to take a bath.
There's a very old bath.
That's
in
so
that city.
beautiful. Look at those flowers.
It is gorgeously done. About 6 o'clock in the evening, a weary and travel-stained being with a checked black and white plaid over his arm descended at the little station of Artenswell.
So wait, it took him like 18 hours to get to there? How that took that long?
Trains were slower back then.
I guess.
There were several people on the platform, and I thought I had better wait to ask my way till I was clear of the place.
I guess we're going onwards.
Onwards, which we can do more wandering. A lot of wandering over the countryside in this game. I came to a bridge and fell to whistling.
Well, he's looking for that guy now, the godfather of that other guy.
Oh yes, the politician's uncle or something.
He probably knows where he's going.
A fisherman had come up from the waterside. He leaned his delicate 10-foot split cane rod against the bridge and looked with me at the water.
Clear, isn't it? I back our Kennet any day against the test. Look at that big fellow. £4 if it's an ounce.
What the hell is he talking about?
But the evening rise is over and you
a
can't
fish.
tempt him.
I don't see him.
Look, there. A yard from the reeds, just above that stickle.
Ah, I've got him now. You might swear he was a black stone.
So,
Oh,
One second.
Twisden's the name, isn't it?
No?
Oh,
I mean to say, yes.
that's the fake name he gave.
yes. I've forgotten all about my alias.
It's a wise conspirator that knows his own name.
I stood up and looked at him, at the square, cleft jaw and broad, lined brow, and the firm folds of cheek, and began to think that here, at last, was an ally worth having. Suddenly he frowned.
I call it disgraceful. Disgraceful that an able-bodied man like you should dare to beg. You can get a meal from my kitchen, but you'll get no money from me.
Evening, Sir Walter.
That's my house. Wait 5 minutes and then go round to the back door.
And with that he left me. Oh, that is so pretty. The
wish I
art
lived
is
there.
great.
Looks so nice.
What? Yeah, no, it's gorgeous. The art is so lovely. At the back door, a grave butler was awaiting me.
Grave Robert Butler.
Come this way, sir.
Well, you've got to have a sideline.
It's like Igor.
He led me along a passage and up a back staircase to a pleasant bedroom looking towards the river.
Sir Walter thought as how Mr. Reggie's things would fit you, sir. He keeps some clothes here, for he comes regular on the weekends. There's a bathroom next door, and I've prepared a hot bath. Dinner in half an hour, sir.
That's
You'll hear the
nice.
gong.
I thought I'm gonna have to like draw a circle line to like scrub my chest or something. You know, like
Oh my. Yes. Let's simulate taking a bath. The grave being withdrew, and I sat down in a chintz-covered easy chair and gaped. It was like a pantomime, to come suddenly out of beggardom into this orderly comfort. Obviously, Sir Walter believed in me, though why he did, I could not guess. I resolved not to puzzle my head, but to take the gifts the gods had provided. I shaved and bathed luxuriously, and got into the dress clothes and clean, crackling shirt, which fitted me not so badly. By the time I had finished, the looking glass showed me a not unpersonable young man.
Grave news. Someone's dead, I think. It's grave news. Always asleep, you like in this game? Or you just gonna watch anything?
Oh, the art in this is great. I love it. Sir Walter awaited me in the dining room.
Always says I'll watch anything.
Let me know how bad my audio is, because like I will have a better mix.
It's fine.
Yeah, I'm saying that to Always Asleep too, because I will have a better mix by the next time you need one. The sight of him, so respectable and established and secure, the embodiment of law and government and all the conventions, took me aback and made me feel an interloper. He couldn't know the truth about me, or he wouldn't treat me like this.
What's the truth? He's a good guy.
Yeah, he's just being pursued by a conspiracy.
Always Asleep says, this seems solid, though. I really like the art. Everything sounds good tonight. Good.
Oh, I'm glad, thank you. But, let me know. I simply could not accept his hospitality on false pretenses.
I'm more obliged to you than I can say, but I'm bound to make things clear. I'm an innocent man, but I'm wanted by the police. I've got to tell you this, and I won't be surprised if you kick me out.
That's all right. Don't let that interfere with your appetite. We can talk about these things after dinner.
I agree. Dinner comes first.
Yes. Gotta have dinner, for God's sake. It made me almost hysterical to be sitting there, waited on by a footman and a sleek butler, and remember that I had been living for 3 weeks like a brigand, with every man's hand against me. Not really. Everyone was pretty nice to you, except for the bad guys. Then we went to his study for coffee.
I wish I had a room like this.
Yeah, seriously.
Look at him too.
Oh, it's gorgeous. I made up my mind that if I ever got rid of this business and had a house of my own, I would create just such a room.
And fill it wall to wall with video games.
Yeah. Yeah, and I love the idea that like an old wood-paneled Victorian room full of video games.
Yeah,
like
1915, I think they weren't thinking about that.
Probably not. Not yet. Then when the coffee cups were cleared away, we had got our cigars alight, and he bade me to get started with my yarn.
This would be like one of those movie things again. Shh.
Ooh, maybe.
Like it's not.
I've obeyed Harry's instructions, and the bribe he offered me was that you would tell me something to wake me up. I'm ready, Mr. Harry.
I noticed with a start that he called me by my proper name. Ooh, he didn't tell him.
I didn't even press the button by itself that time.
Huh. The old man in the moorland house solemnized him. Again, I had to describe every detail of his appearance. I told him my boredom in London, and the night I had come to find Scudder gibbering on my doorstep. I told him all Scudder had told me about Carolides and the Foreign Office conference, and that made him purse his lips and grin. Then I got to the murder, and he grew solemn again. He had heard all about the milkman and my time in Galloway, and my deciphering Scudder's notes at the inn. He drew a breath when I whipped the little book from my pockets.
By the way, you know what I thought? Like last time I saw this picture of the dead guy, it was so much funny if he stabbed him in the funnier if he stabbed him in the stomach, and then like we have like that the sheet covering up and like over here, just like.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry.
You know, it would look like he had a very big hernia, obviously.
Yeah, hernia, that's it.
My day as the roadman excited him a bit. He made me describe the two fellows in the car very closely, and seemed to be raking back in his memory. He grew merry again when he first heard the fate of that ass Jopley. I described my meeting with Sir Harry and the speeches at the hall. At that he laughed uproariously.
I feel like there's more.
You may dismiss the police from your mind. You're in no danger from the law of this land.
Great Scott. Have they got the murderer?
No. But for the last fortnight, they've dropped you from the list of possibles.
Why?
Principally because I received a letter from Scudder. I knew something of the man, and he did several jobs for me. He was half crank, half genius, but he was wholly honest. Trouble about him was his partiality for playing a lone hand. That made him pretty well useless in any secret service. A pity, for he had uncommon gifts. I think he was the bravest man in the world, for he was always shivering with fright, and yet nothing would choke him off. I had a letter from him on the 31st of May.
But he had been dead a week by then.
The letter was written and posted on the 23rd. He evidently did not anticipate an immediate decease. His communications usually took a week to reach me, for they were sent undercover to Spain and then to Newcastle. He had a mania, you know, for concealing his tracks.
Yeah, I have to say the plot is a little contrived. Like, oh, this American guy who came to us for help, he just happened to also know this politician whose nephew we met in Scotland.
Yeah, there's a lot of coincidences.
Yeah, like, it's a little contrived. It's like not as slickly written as later spy thrillers would be, but it's still entertaining.
Yeah, it's still good.
He got up and crossed the room to a cabinet, bringing back Scudder's letter.
Oh god, a second. She called me again, even though like I told her I'm streaming. Hold on.
Yeah, this is a good story. It's just a little, it's not as tightly written as like a lot of later spy thrillers would be, but it's good. I mean, it's no Sherlock Holmes for sure, but it's or Agatha Christie, but it's good.
Sorry, my wife called me because she got a ticket.
It's not. Is it a parking ticket or something?
That's what I asked you. Was it a parking ticket or like a cop came and gave you a ticket? She's like, it was a parking ticket. But she doesn't know why she got a parking ticket. So, like, there's nothing to do about it right now. Just like, bring it home and we'll look at it when you get home.
I hope it's not too. Hope it's not. Not too pricey.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's in the middle of nowhere, like somewhere in New Jersey, so it's not like in Manhattan. So I don't see how it could be too expensive. The problem is, in some places they make you appear for tickets. Like you could drive like 10 hours away, and then it'll be like, oh, you got to appear in court or something. That's like, I mean, that would suck. But anyway, whatever. It is what it is. Why don't you read this letter?
All right. I'm sorry about that. I hope it's not too stressful.
No, it's going to be stressful for her, probably.
Sir Walter, the guy was American. Sir Walter, I am in the gravest danger. My worst fears have been realized. My enemies are here in London. They have made themselves known. I cannot write more in case these words be intercepted, but I have found shelter with a good friend who lives near Portland Place. God willing, you will hear from me before 15th June. Your servant, Franklin P. Scudder.
So that's how he knows you're a friend.
I
And
think
this
his
friend who I
object was
just
to
met.
clear you if anything happened. But when I got it, I went to Scotland Yard, went over the details of the inquest, and concluded that you were the friend. We made inquiries about you, Mr. Hannay, and found you were respectable.
Yeah.
I thought I knew the motives for your disappearance. Not only the police, the other one, too. And when I got Harry's scrawl, I guessed at the rest. I've been expecting you any time this past week.
Thank heavens.
Imagine what a load this took off my mind. I felt a free man once more.
He felt it? What do you mean he felt it? Did he fill the guy up? Is that what he's saying?
Oh my.
Is that
And again, apparently it's not his first time.
Now, let us have the little notebook.
It took us a good hour to work through it. His face was very grave before he had finished, and he sat silent for a while. The narrative got fond of the word grave very suddenly.
Yeah.
I don't know what to make of it. He's right about one thing. What is going to happen the day after tomorrow? How the devil can it have got known? That is ugly enough in itself. All this about war and the Black Stone, it reads like some wild melodrama. If only I had more confidence in Scudder's judgment. Trouble about him was that he was too romantic. He had the artistic temperament and wanted a story to be better than God meant it to be. He had a lot of odd biases, too.
Yeah, against Jews.
Jews, for
There we go.
example, made him see red. Jews
Oh,
and the
dear.
high finance.
Jews. Sorry.
Blackstone.
Oh,
The
God.
Schwarzer Stein. Yeah, it's like a penny novelette. And all this stuff about Carolides. That is the weak part of the tale, for I happen to know that the virtuous Carolides is likely to outlast us both. There's no state in Europe that wants him gone. Besides, he's just been playing up to Berlin and Vienna and giving my chief some uneasy moments. No. Scudder's gone off the track there. Frankly, Hannay, I don't believe that part of his story. There's some nasty business afoot, and he found out too much and lost his life over it. But I'm ready to take my oath that it's ordinary spy work. A certain great European power makes a hobby of her spy system, and her methods are not too particular. Since she pays by piecework, her blackguards are not likely to stick at a murder or two. They want our naval dispositions for their collection at the Marienamt. But they'll be pigeonholed. Nothing more.
So he's downplaying the plot.
Maybe. Imagine if the coincidence is that
There's
there's
a
no
drop
real
call from
plot.
London,
It's
Sir
just-
Walter. It's Mr. Reith, and he wants to speak to you personally.
Imagine if the final twist is like there isn't really a big overarching plot, and Scudder's just imagining it all because of his belief in the big Jewish conspiracy.
It's like, Scudder seemed like a really nice fellow. I mean, aside from the anti-Semitism and stuff, but like, aside from that, he was a really righteous dude, you know, like, anyway.
Well, that is a pretty big thing. My host went off to the telephone. He returned in 5 minutes with a whitish face.
I apologize to the shade of Scudder. Carolides was shot dead this evening at a few minutes after 7.
Do, do,
Uh-oh.
do, do, do. There's only 3 more events.
Oh, damn.
Oh, 4 more.
How are they going to wrap
There's
this
the
up?
3 more. I think we're going to beat this tonight. That guy's eyes again, damn.
Oh, medicine.
Der Schwarze Stone.
I thought Carolides was a real person, but no, apparently he's fictional.
No, you think he's fictional?
Mm-mm.
That's probably why they use them, because they could have him shot dead.
Yeah. Although it's clearly based on the international tensions that were very real at the time.
Yeah.
Oh, so God, I love this artwork. It looks like the kind of painting that would hang in my grandmother's house.
I want to eat those muffins.
Me too. They look great. Oh, those are tea cakes, though.
The cake, too.
Ooh, lovely. I came down to breakfast next morning after 8 hours of blessed, dreamless sleep. I found Sir Walter decoding a telegram in the midst of muffins and marmalade. His fresh rosiness of yesterday seemed a thought tarnished.
I had a busy hour on the telephone after you went to bed. I got my chief to speak to the First Lord and the Secretary for War, and they're bringing Roy over a day sooner. Now, this wire clinches it. He'll be in London at 5. Odd that the code word for a sous chef d'etat major general should be porker.
Oh my. He directed me to the hot dishes and went on.
Not that I think it'll do much good. If your friends were clever enough to find out the first arrangement, they're clever enough to discover the change. I would give my head to know where the leak is. We believed there were only 5 men in England who knew about Royer's visit, and you may be certain there were fewer in France, for they manage these things better there.
I guess we'll start with page 1.
Yes, that seems logical. Royer dines with my chief, and then comes to my house, where 4 people will see him: Whittaker from the Admiralty, myself, Sir Arthur Drew, and General Winstanley. At my house, he will get a certain document from Whittaker, and after that, he will be motored to Portsmouth, where a destroyer will take him to Havre. He will never be left unattended for a moment till he is safe on French soil. The same with Whittaker till he meets Royer.
Okay.
Okay.
That is the best we can do. And it's hard to see how there can be any miscarriage. But I don't mind admitting that I'm horribly nervous. This murder of Karolides will play the deuce in the chancelleries of Europe.
Why is Hannay over here?
Well, we are standing across the room from ourselves.
He's looking out the window, probably.
Hannay, can you drive a car?
Why, yes.
Well, you'll be my chauffeur today and wear Hudson's rig. You're about his size. You have a hand in this business, and we're taking no risks. There are desperate men against us who will not respect the country retreat of an overworked official.
Give me a gun, too.
Yeah, seriously. It was a soft, breathless June morning with a promise of sultriness later, but it was delicious enough swinging through the little towns with their freshly watered streets and past the summer gardens of the Thames Valley. My school's chapel used to, the bells used to do that exact thing.
Yeah, it's a famous bell ring.
I landed Sir Walter at his house in Queen Anne's Gate, punctually by 11:30. The first thing he did was take me round to Scotland Yard.
We'll see what happens. These paintings are lovely. There we saw a prim gentleman with a clean-shaven... You still there?
Yes? Oh, sorry. Can you not hear me?
I hear you now, but you said clean shaven. I didn't hear anything after that. So
Maybe cut out. With a clean-shaven lawyer's face.
McGillivray, I've brought you the Portland Place murderer.
The reply was a wry smile.
It would have been a welcome present, Bullivant. This, I presume, is Mr. Richard Hannay, who for some days greatly interested my department.
Mr. Hannay will interest it again. He has much to tell you, but not today. For certain grave reasons, his tale must wait for 4 hours.
no grave reasons.
Then, I can promise you, you will be entertained and possibly edified. I want you to assure Mr. Hannay that he will suffer no further inconvenience.
The assurance was promptly given.
You can take up your life where you left off. Your flat, which probably you no longer wish to occupy, is waiting for you, and your man is still there. As you were never publicly accused, we considered that there was no need of a public exculpation. But on that, of course, you must please yourself.
McGillivray,
myself.
we may want your
my.
assistance later
Public,
on.
sir?
But by the way, I'll take.
Come and see me tomorrow, Hannay. I needn't tell you to keep deadly quiet. If I were you, I would go to bed, for you must have considerable arrears of sleep to overtake. You'd better lie low, for if one of your Black Stone friends saw you, there might be trouble.
Of course.
I was gonna say, like, the man, the servant, whatever, that guy, whatever his name was, like, I would fire that guy's ass. He basically told the police.
guy. Yep.
He like implicated us to the
Um,
cops.
Yeah, I guess he didn't have any reason to know we weren't.
Still, it's not the
responsible.
point. He should have been like, I plead the fifth, like, or, I mean, they didn't have that. But you know what I mean? Like, he should have said,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
I'm not speaking against my master. Like, go buzz off.
Yeah, no, seriously. Like, where else are you gonna get employed now, mate? It was very pleasant to be a free man, able to go where I wanted.
Free man.
A freedom, a Gordon freedom. I had been only a month under the ban of the law, and it was quite enough for me. Yet I felt curiously at a loose end. I felt that great things, tremendous things, were happening or about to happen, and I, who was the cogwheel of the whole business, was out of it. Oh, sorry, that's extreme lag there. I went to the Savoy Lounge, ordered very carefully a very good lunch, and then I smoked the best cigar the house could provide. But I was still feeling nervous. When I saw anybody look at me in the lounge, I grew shy and wondered if they were thinking about the murder. I took a taxi and drove miles away up into North London. I walked back through the fields and lines of villas and terraces, and then slums and mean streets, and it took me pretty nearly 2 hours.
Just trying to kill time, it sounds like.
Yes. I dined at a restaurant in Jermyn Street. I was no longer hungry and let several courses pass untasted. I drank the best part of a bottle of Burgundy, but it did nothing to cheer me. An abominable restlessness had taken possession of me. I didn't feel like going back to my flat. That had to be faced some time, but as I still had sufficient money, I thought I would put it off till next morning and go to a hotel for the night. Good thing you have so much disposable income.
At least for a while.
Yeah. Here I was, a very ordinary fellow with no particular brains, and yet I was convinced that somehow I was needed to help this business through, that without me it would all go to blazes. I told myself it was sheer silly conceit, that four or five of the cleverest people living, with all the might of the British Empire at their back, had the job in hand. Yet I couldn't be convinced. It seemed as if a voice kept speaking in my ear, telling me to be up and do it, or I would never sleep again. The upshot was that about 9:30, I made up my mind to go to Queen Anne's Gate. Very likely I would not be admitted, but it would ease my conscience to try.
Just throw that a meeting or something.
Yeah. On my way, I passed a group of young men. They were in evening dress, had been dining somewhere, and were going on to a hall. One of them was Marmaduke Jopley. Oh God, there are so many coincidences in this.
By God, the murderer! Here, you fellows hold him! That's Hannay, the man who did the Portland Place murder!
I wasn't looking for trouble, but my ill temper made me play the fool, and the sight of Marmy's imbecile face was more than I could bear. Why does he hate this guy so much?
Punched him out.
What's going on here? Oh, this man is the Portland Place murderer!
Damn it all! Make the fellow shut up! I advise you to leave me alone, Constable. Scotland Yard knows all about me, and you'll get a proper wigging if you interfere.
You've got to come along with me, young man. I saw you strike that gentleman cruel hard. You began it too, for he wasn't doing nothing. I've seen you. You best go quietly, or I'll have to fix you up. Watch him! Watch him! Right, come back here!
He's a fugitive again.
I have a very fair turn of speed, and that night I had wings. In a jiffy I was in Pall Mall, and had turned down towards St. James Park. Happily there were few people about, and no one tried to stop me. I was staking all on getting to Queen Anne's Gate.
I must see Sir Walter. My business is desperately important.
The butler was a great man. Without moving a muscle, he held the door open and shut it behind him.
Sir Walter is engaged, sir, and I have orders to admit no one. Perhaps you will wait.
See here. There's trouble about, and I'm in it. But Sir Walter knows, and I'm working for him. If anyone comes and asks if I'm here, tell him a lie.
Is there the guy's name? I guess to say no one's there.
I was seated and told to wait. He returned to the door and with a face like a graven image waited to be questioned.
Or grave.
This is the house of Sir Walter Bullivant, and I am under the strictest orders not to let anyone, no matter who, interrupt his office.
Told the cop to piss off, I guess.
Yes. So we weren't even caught by the conspirators, we just got in trouble with the police.
I know. It was so stupid.
You're not very good at this, mate. You're trying to stay under the radar a bit more. Should we read that?
Probably, yeah.
Horror descended on Whitehall last night after Greek Prime Minister Konstantin Karolaides was shot dead in London. The murder took place around 7 p.m. in a private apartment in a Horse Guards, where the Greek Premier was staying at the invitation of the Foreign Office. Although the area around St. James Park was busy at the time, Scotland Yard has released no details of the suspect, and the assassin remains at large. Karolaides was alone at the time of the shooting, and no direct witnesses to the act have been established. Police and security agents have yet to confirm whether the shooter was located in the room or fired from an adjacent building. Questions are already being raised about the security arrangements for the visit. Sir Humphrey Bullingstone, the RH member for Harrow, declared that it is a disgrace to the fine name of Her Majesty's government that a serving head of state can be murdered in cold blood in such close proximity to the King's residence. Armed security at Buckingham Palace and Downing Street has been increased as a precaution.
Who was the king?
Carolides. I think King George. Yeah, King George, I'm pretty sure.
King George the what?
I don't know. They had like 5 names.
Yeah, okay, there we go.
Yeah, Carolides' visit was thought to concern his recent call for major international conference to settle the ongoing territorial claims that continue to beset the Balkans. The visit may have included discussion about potential British assistance to secure Greek claims over various Ottoman islands in the Aegean, although War Minister Drew has repeatedly insisted that Her Majesty's government does not intend to send the Mediterranean fleet to intervene.
Now it's Her Majesty's government. By the way, you can tell like easily that like the stuff on the left and right was probably from a real newspaper that they used, and the thing in the middle of the font is totally different.
Yeah.
They tried.
Because they didn't want to write like 200 fictional newspaper reports.
It's where they could have matched the
motivations.
Font
yeah.
They probably want to make it more easier to read, I'm assuming.
Yeah, probably. Because I would not be able to read that. Motivations for the assassination were unclear, and Carolides is known to have numerous enemies.
Before he said that, the other guy said that everyone loved him. Remember that? So now all of a sudden he's known to have had numerous enemies, and I don't really get that. But anyway.
I guess any politician has enemies.
I guess.
Ottoman influences are a likely candidate, although relations between Carolides and the Porte were relatively cordial compared with his predecessors. Berlin's efforts to form an alliance with Bulgaria and its long-standing relationship with the Ottomans have led to a tense relationship between Berlin and Athens. German Foreign Minister Scholz recently described Carolides as a millstone around the neck of Greeks. The German theory has supporters within Parliament. Sir Humphrey has already suggested that we will most likely find the hand of the Kaiser somewhere near the trigger of the gun. Oh, talk like that is going to start off the war.
Yep.
Which I guess is their plan. Sir Walter Bullivant, Permanent Secretary at the Foreign Office.
So long.
Sir Walter Bullivant, Permanent Secretary at the Foreign Office, reacted with shock and fury to the events of last night and told this newspaper that this is an appalling act of political murder within the very heart of our government, and we will leave no stone unturned to catch those responsible. Sir Walter also extolled the influence of Carolides as a steady rock in the volatile world of Balkan politics. The tireless work of Constantine Carolides in search of peaceful solutions to the Eastern question has been without compare in recent years, explained Sir Walter. We must ensure to continue the spirit of his work. Privately, however, the Foreign Office is thought to be deeply concerned that, in the absence of Carolides, the situation in the region will deteriorate yet further. The fate of the international conference that Carolides had called for is also unknown, although in the absence of a respected strongman, it appears unlikely that such an affair will go ahead in the immediate future.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it looks like it's already destabilized things. I hadn't waited long till there came another ring at the bell. The butler made no bones about admitting this new visitor. I recognized the First Sea Lord, the man, they say, that made the British Navy. He passed my alcove and was ushered into a room at the back of the hall. As the door opened, I could hear the sound of low voices. Shut, and I was left alone again. Lord Anoa. For 20 minutes I sat there, wondering what I was to do next. Then the door of the back room opened and the First Sea Lord came out. He walked past me, and in passing he glanced my direction, and for a second we looked each other in the face. I had never seen the great man before, and he had never seen me. But in that fraction of time, something sprang into his eyes, and that something was recognition. You can't mistake it. It is a flicker, a spark of light, a minute shade of difference which means one thing, and one thing only. Oh, telephone.
I collected it. Oh, God.
Yay. Let's carry it around.
Operator, I'd like to call for a pizza, please. To make a collect call to the pizza store.
Pizza hadn't been invented yet.
Lord Allowa's
It had,
residence.
but
How may I help you?
Is his lordship at home?
His lordship returned half an hour ago and has gone to bed. He's not very well tonight. Will you leave him a message, sir?
Uh-oh. That wasn't really the guy.
Oh no. Not a moment could be lost, so I marched boldly to the door of the back room and entered without knocking.
New event, the 39 steps.
Oh my. The 39 steps to the door?
So we have 3 more events. I'm wondering if we should continue this now or continue a different time. Only because like nobody's actually on watching right now. It just seems really weird. Like always asleep and I'm not sure if he's still there, but like actually, I want to see something. How many like we've had very few like people even coming in at all. It just seems like a bad time or something. I don't know.
Oh, it's weird because like you'd think people would prefer now to like 10 a.m., 10 p.m.
Yeah, you would think that, but perhaps they just don't like this game. I don't know, but I don't know why they wouldn't like it. It's really cool.
Oh, it is. It's a good game.
I mean, there's 3 options. There's 3 options. We could continue playing. We could take like an hour break, continue at an hour, or we could continue a different day. I'm not really sure what I think, but what are your thoughts?
I'm good with any option. I mean, if we're going to continue, I would prefer to do it now, but...
yeah, it's supposed to like an hour.
Yeah, but, what would you prefer? I mean...
I think I'll just keep playing because I was tempted to stop it. Like, honestly, like, if it's that they don't like the game, then it's not going to get any better if we do a different time. And also... now it's like sort of the prime time for my stream, so maybe some people will start joining. The thing I'm going to do is go refresh my drink, though. So give me a minute, I'll be back, and we'll continue.
Alright, I'll do that as well, and see you in a minute.
Sounds good.
Yeah. All right. Only 3 out of 10. I think it deserves a bit more than that.
I always just see if you really think it's only a 3 out of 10 game.
Yeah, no, seriously, I think it deserves a bit more than that.
I also got a hot dog, so I'll eat my hot dog first. And I'm hungry. Actually, I'll eat the hot dog over
Alright.
Look at my camera. Here we go. See, I got a hot dog. Oh, here. Alright, let's continue the game here.
What you got in that hot dog? All right.
And I feel reassured.
Sir Walter! Gentlemen!
Oh, 5 surprised faces looked up from a round table. There was Sir Walter and Drew the War Minister, whom I knew from his photographs. There was a slim, elderly man who was probably Whitaker, the Admiralty official. And there was General Winstanley, conspicuous from the long scar on his forehead.
You were scare by accident.
Lastly, there was a short, stout man with an iron grey moustache and bushy eyebrows. This must have been Royer.
Always thinks changes his to a 7 because he gets to see me eat a hot dog.
Yeah. What's on that hot dog?
This is Mr. Hannay, of whom I have spoken to you. I'm afraid, Hannay, this visit is ill-timed.
That remains to be seen, sir. But I think it may be in the nick of time. For God's sake, gentlemen, tell me who went out a minute ago.
Sir Walter's face reddened with anger.
Lord Alloa.
It was not. It was his living image, but it was not Lord Alloa. It was someone who recognized me, someone I have seen in the last month. He had scarcely left the doorstep when I rang up Lord Alloa's house and was told he had come in half an hour before and had gone to bed.
Who?
The Black Stone.
Nonsense.
Getting exciting here.
I sat down in the chair so recently vacated and looked round at 5 badly scared gentlemen. Sir Walter got up and left the room while we looked blankly at the table. He came back in 10 minutes with a long face.
I have spoken to Alloa. Had him out of bed, very grumpy. He went straight home after Malross's dinner.
But it's madness. Do you mean to tell me that that man came here and sat beside me for the best part of half an hour and that I didn't detect the imposture? Alloa must be out of his mind.
It's a little weird, I agree.
I was getting back my coolness.
How puff
disappointed you're not playing with your wang.
Yeah, so no hot wang action. Well, at least more hot wang action later in the week. And hopefully you saw the stream from yesterday with the hot wang action.
Don't you see the cleverness of it? You were too interested in other things to have any eyes. You took Lord Alloa for granted. If it had been anybody else, you might have looked more closely, but it was natural for him to be here, and that put you all to sleep.
Royer Royer bent his wise brows on the assembly.
Young man is right. His psychology is good. Our enemies have not been foolish. I will tell you a tale. It happened many years ago in Senegal.
Yep. I think it's Royer, by the way. He's French.
Royer, excuse me. Royer. Many years ago, the General Royer was quartered in a remote station in Senegal. To pass the time, he fished for big barbel in the river.
While he blew his nose.
Excuse me. I'll be back soon, girl. I'll be back soon, girl.
Sorry to the horse. There's a lion there, too.
Uh-oh. One morning, his horse was unaccountably restless. He left him right next to a lion. Royer kept soothing her with his voice, his mind intent on fishing. I'll be back soon, girl.
When he came back, all there was a skeleton.
Well, at least the lion got a good meal. A couple of hours passed. Is he leaving half the fish there?
Yeah, that's weird.
That's wasteful.
I was right!
God, you were right. Oh, jeez.
Oh my god. That lion really had a meal. Oh, there it is! He's not done.
Blue, I cannot ride a skeleton. Royer stood face to face with us.
Old man eater, the terror of the village. Looks like they attacked each other. The point is, he didn't notice.
What happened?
I was enough of a hunter to know a true yarn when I heard.
I stuffed my fishing rod into his jaws, and I had a pistol. Also, my servants came presently with rifles. But he left his
So your servants
mark
did all the work.
on me.
He held up a finger which lacked. He held up a hand which lacked 3 fingers.
Consider. The mare had been dead more than an hour, and the brute had been patiently watching me ever since. I never saw the kill, for I was accustomed to the mare's fretting, and I never marked her absence, for my consciousness of her was only of something tawny, and the lion filled that part. If I could blunder thus, gentlemen, in a land where men's senses are keen, why should we busy, preoccupied urban folk not err also?
Incroyable. Papa says incroyable.
C'est incroyable.
Incroyable. Sir Walter nodded. No one was ready to gainsay him.
Well, I suppose there is nothing for it but to change the plans.
Whitaker was looking very glum.
Did you tell Lord Alloa what has happened? No? Well, I can't speak with absolute assurance, but I'm nearly certain we can't make any serious change, unless we alter the geography of England.
He paused and looked around.
God, and we have not a rag of a clue.
Besides, there is the post. By this time the news will be on its way.
No. You do not understand the habits of the spy. He receives personally his reward, and he delivers personally his intelligence. We in France know something of the breed. Now, there is still a chance, mes amis. These men must cross the sea, and there are ships to be searched and ports to be watched. Believe me, the need is desperate for both France and Britain.
I had a sudden inspiration.
Where is Scudder's book? Quick, man. I remember something in it.
What is it? Can it be?
On there.
I don't even know where my cursor is. There it is. Blackstone in Scotland. The 39 steps, I counted them. High tide, 10:17 p.m. Ooh.
Ooh.
39 steps. 39 steps. I counted them. High tide, 10:17 p.m. What relevance is all?
The Admiralty man was looking at me as if he thought I had gone mad.
Don't you see? It's a clue. Scudder knew where these fellows laired. He knew where they were going to leave the country, though he kept the name to himself. Tomorrow was the day, and it was some place where high tide was at 10:17.
But they may have gone tonight.
Not they. They have their own snug, secret way, and they won't be hurried. I know Germans, and they are mad about working to a plan. Where the devil can I get a book of tide tables?
Whitaker brightened up.
It's a chance. Let's go over to the Admiralty.
This guy Hede has become very important all of a sudden.
Yes. No, he's really, these high-level politicians are very accommodating of him, considering he's just suspected of murder.
Yeah.
We got into 2 of the waiting motor cars. Sir Walter went off to Scotland Yard to mobilise McGilvery.
Admiralty. Okay.
Okay, let's see what we can find.
Guess we're going here.
Yes, guess we're going to the Admiralty. A resident clerk was unearthed, who presently fetched from the library the Admiralty tide tables. Tideable. I sat at the desk and the others stood round. For somehow or other I had got charge of this expedition. But it was no good. So far as I could see, 1017 might cover 50 places. We had to find some way of narrowing the possibilities. There must be some way of reading this riddle. Ooh. Time is running out, 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 time is running out. Ah! What did Scudder mean by steps? If it were dock steps, why mention the number? It must be some place with several staircases and one marked out from the others by having 39 steps. Why was high tide so important? It must be some little harbour or no harbour at all. There were no sets of staircases on any harbour that I had seen. The place must be a bit of an open coast. He's a man in a hurry. He wants a speedy and secret passage. They wouldn't travel by a big boat from a regular harbour. There is no regular steamer sailing at that hour. I put myself in the enemy's shoes. I wouldn't leave from the Channel or the West Coast. Scotland is too far. I should try for Ostend or Antwerp or Rotterdam. Rotterdam, not Rotterdam. Excuse me. I should sail from somewhere on the east coast between Cromer and Dover. This is all guesswork. I am no kind of Sherlock Holmes, but I do have a feeling about all of this. I set out all my conclusions on a bit of Admiralty paper. Ooh. Fairly certain. Place where there are several sets of stairs. One that matters distinguished by having 39 steps. Full tide at 10:17 p.m. Leaving shore only possible at full tide. Steps not dock steps, and so place probably not harbour. No regular night steamer at 10:17. Means of transport must be tramp, unlikely, yacht or fishing boat. Guessed. Place not harbour but open coast. Boat small, trawler, yacht or launch. Place somewhere on east coast between Cromer and Dover. Sir Walter had joined us, and presently McGilvery arrived. He had sent out instructions to watch the ports and railway stations.
You cut out. You still there?
Oh yes, sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, just try to read that again.
He had sent out instructions to watch the ports and railway stations for the 3 men whom I had described to Sir Walter. Not that he or anyone else thought that they would do much good.
Here's the most I can make of it. We have got to find a place where there are several staircases down to the beach, one of which has 39 steps. I think it's a piece of open coast with biggish cliffs somewhere between the wash and the channel. Also, it's a place where full tide is at 10:17 tomorrow night.
Then an idea struck me.
Is there no inspector of coast guards or some fellow like that knows the east coast?
Why, yes there is. He lives in Clapham. Let me get him now.
Good thing you have all the resources of the government available all of a sudden.
Also, the good thing is that they don't know that we're onto them. You know, they think they got away with it.
Yeah. He went off in a car to fetch him. I lit a pipe and went over the whole thing again till my brain grew weary. About 1 in the morning, the Coast Guard man arrived. He was a fine old fellow, with the look of a naval officer, and was desperately respectful of the company.
This is the chap.
Good evening, gentlemen.
We want you to tell us the places you know on the east coast where there are cliffs and where several sets of steps run down to the beach.
What kind of steps do you mean, sir? There are plenty of places with roads cut down through the cliffs, and most roads have a step or two in them. Or do you mean regular staircases, all steps, so to speak?
Whitaker looked towards me.
We mean regular staircases.
He reflected a minute or two.
I don't know that I can think of any. Wait a second. There's a place in Norfolk, Brattlesham, beside a golf course, where there are a couple of staircases to let the gentleman get a lost ball.
That's not it.
Then there are plenty of marine parades, if that's what you mean. Every seaside resort has them.
I shook my head.
He's got to be more retired than that.
Well, gentlemen, I can't think of anywhere else. Of course, there's the Rough.
What's that?
The big chalk headland in Kent, close to Bradgate. It's got a lot of villas on the top, and some of the houses have staircases down to a private beach. It's a very high-toned sort of place, and the residents there like to keep by themselves.
That's it.
We're on the scent at last. How can I find out what is the tide at the Rough?
I can tell you that, sir. I once was let a house there in this very month, and I used to go out at night to the deep-sea fishing. The tide's 10 minutes before Bradgate.
I closed the book and looked round at the company.
If one of those staircases has 39 steps, we have solved the mystery, gentlemen. I want the loan of your car, Sir Walter, and a map of the roads.
Of course.
If Mr. McGillivray will spare me 10 minutes,
yes,
I think we can prepare something for tomorrow.
Good. I, for one, am content to leave the matter in Mr. Hannay's hands.
They all trust us so implicitly.
Yeah, like they literally just met us.
Mr. Gillivray doesn't be like, all right, Hannay, go to bed, and like we'll take it from here in Scotland Yard, you know? Like it says he was ridiculous.
It was ridiculous of me to... Yeah, like we are... The character is a bit of a Mary, he said. Like everyone instantly trusts him. Like, and everyone is really nice to him except the villains.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. It was ridiculous of me to take charge of the business like this, but they didn't seem to mind. And after all, I had been in the show from the start. No, not really. Besides, I was used to rough jobs, and these eminent gentlemen were too clever to not see it. I guess him being like a former soldier and a bit of a colonial hero really helped a bit.
Yeah.
By 3:30 that morning, I was tearing past the moonlit hedgerows of Kent, with McGillivray's best man Scaife on the seat beside me.
Oh, up to the second to last event.
Ooh, let's see what we've got here. Masters of Disguise.
That flag.
That was a very plain flag.
It's like the way it was blowing.
Ah, man. The art in this is great.
Yeah, the smoke coming out of the chimneys.
That's lovely.
Griffin Hotel. It's morning already.
Yeah. I guess we've been up for a while. A pink and blue June morning found me at Bradgate, Griffin Hotel C.
You cut out again. Do that one more time, if you don't mind.
Oh, sorry. A pink and blue June morning found me at Brad looking from the Griffin Hotel over a smooth sea.
Ooh.
The light ship on the... okay. Here we go. The light ship on the Cox Sands... Ooh, Sam shouldn't go there. Seemed the size of a bellboy. A couple of miles further south and much nearer the shore, a small destroyer was anchored.
Interesting.
Scaife had been in the Navy and knew the boat. He told me her name and her commanders, so I sent off a wire to Sir Walter. Small destroyer. The light ship on the Cox Sands seemed the size of a bellboy.
Let's repeat that part, in case you missed it the first time.
Yeah, I'm glad we... After breakfast, Scaife got from a house agent gate staircase.
You cut out again.
Sorry. After breakfast, Scaife got from a house agent a key for the gates of the staircases on the Ruff. I walked along with him along the sands and looked down in a nook of the cliffs while he investigated the half dozen of them. I didn't want to be seen, but the place at this hour was quite deserted, and all that time I was on the beach I saw nothing but the seagulls. It took him more than an hour to do the job. Everything depended on my guess proving right.
You probably can't see this detail. Maybe you can. Like, it's like this. This looks totally like an oil painting.
It does, yeah. A lot of these actually do.
I mean,
like a lot of these are very.
There's the texture. You can see the texture of the oil painting.
Yeah, and I wonder if these are actual oil paintings.
I wonder if it
like
is.
If nothing, yeah, or at the very least, whoever digitally painted it was very good at emulating oil paint.
Yeah, it's very cool.
But yeah, it's the art in this in general is just great. He read aloud the number of steps in the different stairs.
34, 35, 42, 47, and 21, where the cliffs get lower. Oh, and 39.
Dumbass.
Scaife, we have them.
Nice. We hurried back to the town and sent a wire to McGilvray. I wanted half a dozen men, and I directed them to divide themselves among different specified hotels. Then Scaife set out to prospect the house at the head of the 39 steps. He came back with news that both puzzled and reassured me. Ooh. Next door there was a new house building which would give good cover for observation, and the villa on the other side was to let, and its garden was rough and shrubby. The house was called Trafalgar Lodge and belonged to an old gentleman called Appleton, a retired stockbroker, the house agent said. Only 3 servants were kept, a cook, a parlour maid, and the housemaid. The cook was not the gossiping kind, and had pretty soon shut the door in his face, but Scaife said he was positive she knew nothing. They were just the sort you would find in a respectable middle-class household. Mr. Appleton was there a good deal in the summertime, and was in residence now, had been for the better part of a week. Scaife could pick up very little information about him, except that he was a decent old fellow who paid his bills regularly, and was always good for a fiver for local charity. I borrowed Scaife's telescope, and before lunch went for a walk along the Rough.
What do I call it, the Rough? Like there are dogs there or something?
It's also the name of a frilly collar. I kept well behind the rows of villas and found a good observation point on the edge of the golf course.
You know, a couple weird things about this, like, it's like he's, like, the first guy's like, no, I can't think of any steps, except for that place with the steps, you know? And then it's like, and then the guy's like, it's 30, 32, oh yeah, 39, like, he knew he was looking for 39, so like, why do you think he's a doofus?
Yeah, that's weird. Like, did you just keep counting them after you found the 39?
Right.
You were just here to count steps?
Well, you still have to count all the other ones to make sure there's a 2 of 39, but still, I mean, like...
Yeah, no, but still. You would think he'd go right to the one that was 39. I observed someone leave the house and saunter along the cliff. I saw it was an old man wearing white flannel trousers, a blue serge jacket and a straw hat. He carried field glasses and a newspaper. He sat down on one of the iron seats and began to read. Sometimes he would lay down the paper and turn his glasses on the sea. He looked for a long time at the destroyer. I watched the elderly man for half an hour, till he got up and went back to the house for his luncheon, when I returned to the hotel for mine.
She had missed lunch.
I think he just packed something. This decent, commonplace dwelling was not what I had expected. The man might be the bald archaeologist of that horrible moorland farm, or he might not. He was exactly the kind of satisfied old bird you would find in every suburb and every holiday place. If you wanted a type of the perfectly harmless person, you would probably pitch on that. After lunch, I packed up, for I saw the thing I had hoped for and had dreaded to miss.
Boat.
Her name was the Ariadne. Scaife said she was a fast boat for her build, and that she was pretty heavily engineered. Bet she doesn't even have a motor. Scaife and I went down to the harbour and hired a boatman for the afternoon's fishing. See, you seem to be taking it very easy.
Well, I guess they figured they're not leaving until high tide at 10:17.
Yeah, I guess so. About 4 o'clock, I made the boatman row us round the yacht, which lay like a delicate white bird, ready at a moment to flee. One of the men was polishing the brasswork.
That water. But yeah, I guess they're like, they didn't just go for a joyride. They try to like check out the boat like subtly.
Yeah, I guess so. Just make it look like they're fishing. I spoke to him and got an answer in the soft dialect of Essex. Another hand that came along passed me at the time of day in an unmistakable English tongue. Our boatman had an argument with one of them about the weather, and for a few minutes we lay on our oars close to the starboard bow. Then the men suddenly disregarded us and bent their heads to their work, as an officer came along the deck. He was a pleasant, clean-looking young fellow, and he put a question to us about our fishing in very good English.
Did you ever see that movie Glorious Bastards?
Yes, I did.
Do you remember the part where like they were speaking German and how they got caught?
Yeah, because He held up a finger.
Right.
He held up 3 fingers in the weird way.
Well, not a weird way, but like I guess like in America, so you hold 3 fingers like this. You can see me like 3 middle fingers, and in Germany they always use the thumb and the 2 fingers next to it.
Yeah.
So these guys probably are German spies and just speak English very well. Is my point.
Yeah, probably.
Oh.
They'll have a review like that. But there could be no doubt about him. His close-cropped head and the cut of his collar and tie never came out of England.
There you go. Awarded. I know Germans. I got an achievement.
I know Germans. They have short hair. Damn short-haired Germans. We don't have short haircuts here. Damn short-haired German hippies.
It's a little weird, but okay.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's just the one Englishman who prefers short hair.
I don't know.
In the hotel, I met the commander of the destroyer, to whom Scaife introduced me, and with whom I had a few words. Then I thought I would put in an hour or 2 watching Trafalgar Lodge.
I guess that's where the guy is.
Oh. It's where the stairs lead up to.
Playing tennis, sounds like.
Suspicion tennis imposters?
Let's play tennis first.
They played tennis with tremendous zest, like 2 city gents who wanted hard exercise to open their pores. Gross. They shouted and laughed and stopped for drinks when a maid brought out 2 tankards on a salver.
So, which one do you do first, suspicions or imposters?
I feel like it goes like clockwise from the top right one.
All right.
You couldn't conceive a more innocent spectacle. I rubbed my eyes and asked myself if I was not the most immortal fool in the world. Mystery and darkness had hung about the men who hunted me over the Scotch moor in an aeroplane and motor car, and notably about that infernal antiquarian. It was easy enough to connect those folks with the knife that pinned Scudder to the floor, and with fell designs on the world peace. But here were 2 guileless citizens taking their innocuous exercise, and soon about to go indoors for a humdrum dinner, where they would talk of market prices and the last cricket scores. The thing that worried me was the reflection that my enemies knew I had got my knowledge of Scudder, and it was Scudder who had given me the clue to this place. If they knew Scudder had this clue, would they not be certain to change their plans? I had talked confidently last night about Germans always sticking to a scheme, but if they had any suspicions that I was on their track, they would be fools not to cover it. Yeah, it's a good point, actually.
But they have no way of knowing that we knew about the 39 steps or anything like that.
But they knew Scudder told us, and maybe they...
But they didn't know Scudder knew either. That's the thing. They don't know what Scudder actually knew.
That's true. I'd been making a net to catch vultures and falcons, and lo and behold, 2 plump thrushes had blundered into it. Presently a 3rd figure arrived, a young man on a bicycle. He was welcomed riotously by the players.
You all right there, Percy?
Yes, you're looking a little hot under the collar.
I've got into a proper lather. This'll bring down my weight and my handicap, Bob. I'll take you on tomorrow and give you a stroke a hole.
Stroke a hole? What the hell are you talking about?
Oh my.
Sounds inappropriate.
Stroke a hole by the cock's arms. They all went into the house and left me feeling a precious idiot. I would rather have walked into a den of anarchists, each with a Browning handy, or faced a charging line with a pop gun, than enter the happy home of 3 cheerful Englishmen and tell them that their game was up.
So they're playing the same game on him that he played on them, if you think about it, you know?
Yeah, maybe. They're acting all innocent.
Yeah.
But then I remembered old Peter Pinar. He was the best scout I ever knew, and before he had turned respectable, he had been pretty often on the windy side of the law. Peter once discussed with me the question of disguises, and he had a theory which struck me at the time. He said, barring absolute certainties like fingerprints, mere physical traits were very little use for identification if the fugitive really knew his business. The only thing that mattered was what Peter called the atmosphere. These chaps didn't need to act. They just turned a handle and passed into another life, which came as naturally to them as the first. Peter used to say that it was the big secret of all the famous criminals. This recollection gave me the first real comfort that I had today. Peter had been a wise old bird, and these fellows I was after were about the pick of the aviary. It was now getting on for 8 o'clock, and I went back and saw Scaife to give him his instructions. I arranged with him how to place his men, and then I went for a walk, for I didn't feel up to any dinner. It took all my resolution to stroll towards Trafalgar Lodge. On the way, I got a piece of solid comfort from the sight of a greyhound that was swinging along at a nursemaid's heels. Oh, greyhounds are lovely. He reminded me of a dog I used to have in Rhodesia.
This is the last event.
Ooh.
Are you excited?
Yes, no, I'm curious to see how they conclude this.
Could Hannay have got it all wrong? The final stand will reveal all.
I doubt the conclusion's going to be that he got it all wrong.
Maybe it's like they escaped and got away.
Well, maybe. I mean, there are currently other books starring this guy, so maybe.
Yeah, I heard that too. I haven't read the other ones.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that flag is moving again.
Yep.
Really well done. I arrived once again at Trafalgar Lodge. Scaife's men would be posted by now, but there was no sign of a soul.
Good. I know what they're doing.
Yep.
Bing bong.
Bing bong.
Oh, it's just. I'm just. Oh, you have to pull it out that's interesting. Not like today.
I'm on how to open a door.
Is Mr. Appleton at home?
Yes, sir. Please come in.
It's all dangerous. Like
My plan.
You're going like into a place where it's dangerous. They can just shoot you dead theoretically if they really are the bad guys.
Yeah, seriously. Then just hide your body.
Yeah.
Poison you. My plan had been to walk straight into the dining room, and by a sudden appearance wake in the men that had the start of recognition. Sorry, I'm reading this all wrong. My plan had been to walk straight into the dining room, and by a sudden appearance wake in the men that start of recognition which would confirm my theory. But when I had found myself in that neat hall, the place mastered me.
Who may I say is calling?
Richard Hannay.
If you could wait in the smoking room, I'll let Mr. Appleton know you're here.
Should get a fake name.
I guess he wants them to recognize him.
Coming. You won't get a recognition, you know.
Yeah. Weird.
He realizes
realizing my mistake. Oh right. Oh, dude, you're not very good at this. Realizing my mistake, I pulled myself together and ran after
Mate.
Oh, sorry. Did I cut out again?
Yep.
But I was too late.
Dummy.
Mr. Hannay? Do you wish to see me?
I think we have met before, and I guess you know my business.
The light in the room was dim, but so far as I could see their faces, they played the part of mystification very well.
Maybe I haven't a very good memory, but I'm afraid you must tell me your errand, sir, for I really don't know it.
Well then, I have come to tell you that the game's up.
Why would you be telling them this? All the time I seem to myself to be talking pure foolishness.
This is the U.S. They definitely just have all the cops busted and arrest them, but I guess like they need some probable cause.
Yeah.
A warrant for the arrest of you three gentlemen.
Oh, I guess not.
Arrest?
Huh.
Arrest?
Well, shouldn't the cops be doing that?
Yeah.
God, what for?
He looked really shocked.
For the murder of Franklin Scudder in London on the 23rd day of last month.
I never heard the name before.
That was the Portland Place murder. I read about it. Good heavens. You must be mad, sir. Where do you come from?
Scotland Yard.
Though I hadn't an ounce of confidence in me, I forced myself to play the game.
Don't get flustered, Uncle. It's all a ridiculous mistake. But these things happen sometimes, and we can easily set it right. It won't be hard to prove our innocence. I can show you that I was out the country on the 23rd of May, and Bob was in a nursing home. You were in London, but you can explain what you were doing.
Right, Percy. Of course, that's easy enough. The 23rd. That was the day after Agatha's wedding. Let me see, what was I doing? Came up in the morning from Woking and lunched at the club with Charlie Simons. Then, oh yes, I dined with the fishmongers. I remember, for the punch didn't agree with me and I was seedy next morning. Hang it all, there's the cigar box I brought back from the dinner.
Better if we get the other guy to corroborate, but anyway.
I'm not sure what our plan is here, to be honest.
Yeah, to get them to reveal themselves, it sounds like.
I guess. After that, for a minute, there was utter silence. The old man was staring at his plate and fumbling with a nut, the very model of innocent bewilderment.
Sorry.
Don't do that at the table.
I think, sir, you will see you are mistaken. We want to assist the law like all Englishmen, and we don't want Scotland Yard to be making fools of themselves. That so, Uncle?
Certainly, Bob.
The old fellow seemed to be recovering his voice.
Certainly. We'll do anything in our power to assist the authorities, but this is a bit too much. I can't get over it.
How Nellie will chuckle. She always said you would die of boredom because nothing ever happened to you. Now, you've got it thick and strong.
It couldn't be acting. It was too confoundedly genuine.
Oh yes, just think of it. What a story to tell at the club. Really, Mr. Hannay. I suppose I should be angry to show my innocence, but it's too funny. I almost forgive you the fright you gave me. You looked so glum. I thought I might have been walking in my sleep and killing people.
Yes, maybe you made a mistake.
Oh yeah, is that going to be the final twist? We got it all wrong? To cover my confusion, I got up, walked to the door and switched on the electric light. The sudden glare made them blink, and I stood scanning the three faces. I made nothing of it. One was old and bald, one was stout, one was dark and thin. They seemed exactly what they had professed to be, and I could not and I could not have sworn to one of them. I could see nothing to connect them with the Moorland desperados.
Well, are you reassured by your scrutiny, sir?
I couldn't find a word.
I hope you'll find it consistent with your duty to drop this ridiculous business. I make no complaint, but you see how annoying it must be to respectable people.
I shook my head.
Oh, Lord. This is a bit too thick.
Do you propose to march us off to the police station? That might be the best way out of it, but I suppose you won't be content with the local branch. I have the right to ask to see your warrant. But I don't wish to cast any aspersions upon you. You're only doing your duty. You'll admit, it's horribly awkward. What do you propose to do?
We're like totally confused.
For a moment I was very near damning myself for a fool and asking their pardon.
Meantime, I vote we have a game of bridge. It'll give Mr. Hanny time to think over things. You know we've been wanting a fourth player. Do you play, sir?
I accepted as if it had been an ordinary invitation at the club.
Yes. Yes, I play.
So weird.
Yeah, everyone in this is very chill. I felt memorized by the whole place, by the air of obvious innocence. Not innocence merely, but frank, honest bewilderment and concern in the three faces. We went into the smoking room where a card table was set out, and I was offered things to smoke and drink.
Hope they were cigarettes and whiskey. Sorry, go ahead.
I think back then it was more about pipes and cigars.
Yeah, whatever.
The three were talking easily, just the kind of slangy talk you would hear in any golf clubhouse. I must have cut a rum figure, sitting there knitting my brows with my eyes wandering. My partner was the young dark one. I have no idea how bridge works. I play a fair hand at bridge, but I must have been rank bad that night.
I have a very high level idea of how it works. I mean, you play partners, and whoever. I think when you control the hand, you play for your partner. I think, but the other people play individually, something like that.
They saw that they had got me puzzled, and that put them more than ever at their ease. I kept looking at their faces, but they conveyed nothing to me. It was not that they looked different. They were different. I clung desperately to the words of Peter Pinard. Then it happened. Uh-oh. This is pretty good at building tension. It was the movement I remembered when I had stood before him in the moorland farm, with the pistols of his servants behind me. Some shadow lifted from my brain, and I was looking at the three men with full and absolute recognition.
That's interesting.
He's realizing that the guy taps his fingers the same way that one guy did. The dark, lean man, he was the murderer. Now I saw cruelty and ruthlessness, where before I had only seen good humor. His knife had skewered Scudder to the floor, and his kind had put the bullet in Carolides. The plump man's features seemed to dislim. I've never seen that word before. And form again as I looked at them. He hadn't a face, only 100 masks that he could assume when he pleased. The chap must have been a superb actor. Perhaps he had been Lord Alloa the night before. Perhaps not. It didn't matter. I wondered if he was the fellow that had first tracked Scudder and left his card on him. Scudder had said he lisped, and I could imagine how the adoption of a lisp might add terror. I can't. He was the pick of the lot. He was sheer brain, icy, cold, calculating, as ruthless as a steam hammer. Now that my eyes were opened, I wondered where I had seen the benevolence. His jaw was like chilled steel, and his eyes had the inhuman luminosity of a bird's.
A lot of exaggeration here.
Yeah, that's it, right? Very flowery Victorian language. I went on playing, and every second a greater hate welled up in my heart.
Bob, look at the time. You better think about catching your train. Bob's got to go to town tonight.
The voice rang now as false as hell. I looked at the clock, and it was nearly 10:30.
I'm afraid he must put off his journey.
Oh, damn. I thought you'd dropped that rot. I simply got to go. You can have my address, and I'll give you any security you like.
No, you must stay.
I'll go bail for my nephew. That ought to content you, Mr. Hannay.
As I glanced at him, his eyelids fell in that hawk-like hood which fear had stamped on my memory. This is kind of their fault for inviting him to stay on. A pair of strong arms gripped me round the waist, covering the pockets in which a man might be expected to carry a pistol.
Get your hands off me!
What the heck?
Nilfan! Das Buch! Das Buch!
I grappled the old chap, and the room seemed to fill with figures. I saw the plump one collared, but my eyes were all for the out of doors, where Franz sped on over the road toward the railed entrance to the beach stairs. One man followed him, but he had no chance. I stood staring with my hands on the old boy's throat for such time as a man might take to descend those steps to the sea. Suddenly my prisoner broke from me and flung himself on the wall.
What happened?
Oh my god. Boom. The stairway had been completely destroyed.
It looks like a bomb.
It's a bit radical.
He is safe. You cannot follow in time. He's gone. He has triumphed. Der schwarze Stein ist in der Siegeskrone.
What's a Siegeskrone?
I don't know what that is. There was more in those eyes than common triumph. They had been hooded like a bird of prey, and now they flamed with a hawk's pride. The man was more than a spy. In his foul way, he had been a
patriot.
Oh, sorry, did I cut out?
It's okay, you did cut off. It's alright.
As the handcuffs clinked on his wrist, I said my last word to him.
I hope Franz will bear his triumph well. I ought to tell you that the Ariadne for the last hour has been in our hands.
Guess he didn't really get away after all. But he wasn't going to the Ariadne, he was going to the destroyer! You dumb putz!
The destroyer was working for us.
Right. If the destroyer is working for us, but the captain of the destroyer is actually German! But the first mate and everybody else is English, and we've killed the captain and taken over! That's go a little too far here. The end, that's it. That was an abrupt ending there.
Yeah, I felt like it could have wrapped up a bit. Still, that was... I'm glad they're showing all the paintings here. That was very good.
Richard Hannay, played by Nick Underwood.
Nick Underwood.
A lot of... I guess they're a full cast here. It's not like the same person played 20 parts.
Yeah, no, that's pretty cool. Well, there's a few repeated names, but...
Yeah. Well, McGillivray and Winstanley were played by Mark McDonald. It was a very small part.
I wonder who did the art. Oh, I'm gonna look up this artist because he did a great job.
Yeah. Whatever he's doing now.
Yeah.
Oyster says 39 out of 100. Music too loud.
Yeah, the audio was a bit unbalanced, but
what the hell's that?
I don't know.
Quiet for a second.
I don't know.
What the hell is that?
39 steps.
Okay, was not expecting the music to do that. That's a hell of a twist.
That was weird.
39 steps.
Oyster says, oh shit, remix, 95 out of 100. You changed his mind.
That's the true swerve ending.
39 steps.
39 steps.
39 steps. 39 steps dance remix.
39 steps. It's like beatboxing.
39 steps, biatch.
Special thanks to Dorian Karen.
39 steps.
Maurice Suckling, the Mustard Corporation. What is it? The Chinese Room is the company that made Dear Esther.
Yeah. And the second amnesia game.
can't hear you. You'll have to hold off your commentary until the music is over. You're not audible currently.
Oh, sorry.
We can hear you sort of, but to hear what you're saying. I'm not dealing with background noise. Iris Tweed, Hip Writings, Picture Archive, De Beers. A diamond is forever. Designed, directed by Simon Meek. Good job, Simon. Very good direction, I will tell you that much. I'm not sure about the design. The direction was quite Okay. Oh, we go. Is there a post-credit scene?
What am I? Setting up a Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah, Nick Fury comes on.
39 steps.
Mr. Harry, I'm starting the Avengers Initiative. I need your help.
Yeah, team up with Sherlock Holmes.
Thanks to John Buchan. 1894. So he was 65 exactly when he died.
Yeah, he wrote the original novel.
Oh wait, what's going on? It's post-credit scene.
Oh my god, there really is one.
3 weeks later, as all the world knows, we went to war. I joined the new army the first week, and owing to my Matabele experience, got a captain's commission straight off. But I had done my best service, I think, before I put on khaki.
I thought it's khaki. Khaki is like what my kids make.
Oh no. Oh, gross. If we pronounce it Pucky. But
you want to read this?
No, I now know. Congratulations, you have completed the 39 steps. We hope you enjoyed playing this story as much as we did making it. Hopefully see you for our next digital adaptation. If they made anything else.
I don't think they made another digital adaptation. I think that was it because... let me quit here, then we can talk without the music. Okay, there we go. I don't think they made any other adaptation. I don't think this thing sold very well. I mean, it's still available on Steam. I got it for 99 cents. I mean, just, you know, like, what they took a book and they tried to make it into, like, an interactive novel or something, a visual novel, I don't know what. I mean, obviously, the artwork was some of the best artwork I think either of us have ever seen in a game. It was really incredible, and the sound was good too, except for the mix between the music and the audio and the speech in a couple of places. But aside from that mixing issue, I mean, like, it was very. I mean, the graphics and the audio I've seen this many times are both great. The programming is not so great because. I mean, for example, I had to run this in full screen, which is super annoying, and I couldn't adjust the audio mix. There's a couple of weird things with the interface, the engine, but more importantly, I mean, the way it really falls down is that the interactivity was very minimal. It was sort of forced. You couldn't really lose the game. I mean, I'm not saying you had to be able to lose the game, but there was no puzzles really. I mean, it just was all interactivity for the sake of interactivity. If this had actually some puzzles or something, I think it would have been like much more successful.
Yeah, and I feel like with a story like this, you could work in puzzles or at least some like environmental hazards or something.
Yeah, I think so.
Like,
I mean, there was only the one time when I had to like do the thing quickly. We were running out the hole, and I felt like if I didn't do it quickly enough, maybe it would have been a game over. But I bet you probably wouldn't have. I got like 25 cards, 15. Oh, 50. I only got 15 of 16 awards. I'm missing an award.
Oh,
that's interesting. Remember there was one time when I thought that I went too fast, and when I blew that thing up, I thought there was more things to look at, and I may have missed something there. But regardless, I enjoyed it. Like, it was worth doing, worth playing. Having read the original book, I enjoyed this. If I had not read the original book, I probably would have enjoyed it even more, honestly, because I wouldn't have known what was going to happen. But I think it was really cool. So thank you very much again, Dorian, for doing the voice acting. And we'll definitely have you back on the channel for some more voice acting in the future. You need to get a better mic, as you keep saying.
I will.
I would say mic, but... but thank you to the people who are watching this thing and the previous 2 streams. I don't really think there were that many people on today who actually stayed on, but Always Asleep was definitely here, and so was Pal Puck. Always Asleep says, thanks, Dorian, appreciate ya. That's nice. And there's some people that popped in and left, whatever. So anyway, I don't know who's going to watch this after the fact, but we played it for almost 6 hours. If you are watching it after the fact, let us know what you think in the comments. And and we'll go from there. Feel free to like and subscribe, all that good stuff. I like doing, a mixture of really old things. So I'm streaming, as probably people saw, the Wang 2200 and games for that, and that'll be probably the next stream, a continuation of that. But I also like doing these adventure type games. This has been, I wouldn't call this an adventure game. I put a question mark. I think it's like adventure like. It's probably closer to adventure than anything else, but the lack of puzzles, I would not be able to classify it completely as an adventure game, but it was, I think folks who like adventure games would probably like it anyway. So check it out, let me know what you think, and we'll do something else, hopefully more puzzly next time. But in the meantime, again, thank you so much, Dorian, Karen, and have a great night, everybody. Peace out.
Bye, all. Ah.